You are live. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sean Fuller. I'm the host of the new series Behind the Comic, where I'm trying to highlight and get to know a lot more black comic book authors, not just them, but who have been doing the work behind the scenes, pushing out their comics, and just getting to know a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes. Today we have JaVon Stokes with us. He's a comic book author as well with us. He's been doing it for a while and has some good record. And so I'm proud to have him today as my first guest. Without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to you, JaVon. Let them know who you are.
What's up, everybody? My name is JaVon Stokes. You might have heard of me as the most opinionated man in comics. I use that from time to time. I am a writer, artist, and publisher for my company, Visually Stoked Media, with my two characters. I'm going to pull these up real quick. Heat and Strong. Yeah, so I've been doing this for about 10 years now. I'm enjoying myself. It's been fun.
So where are you from?
Connecticut.
Oh, you're in Connecticut. And what do you do when you're not working on comics?
Work. I do have a full-time job. I am married. I have 3 kids, with my youngest being a 5-year-old that you probably hear cackling in the background. So I keep myself busy, but Visually Stoked Media is kind of my full-time job is my full-time job, but Visually Stoked Media is my passion and my priority. It has been since 2013, 2012.
Wow, you've been at it for a while. Okay.
Even before that, but that was when I really kind of locked in on trying to be a professional.
That makes sense. It actually leads into our next section of the conversation, right? So I did talk about getting to know you and kind of get your background. But the next part about it is literally kind of just talk about one of your comics that you want to highlight. I know you have a few of them, but let's not try to get all of them. Let's talk about one that you really kind of stoked about. Let's get to know that comic for a while.
I like that. Stoked. I like that. Yeah, of course. My flagship character is Heat. If you've been to a Comic-Con, you've heard my description of it. It's what if the powers that make you a hero also want you to destroy the world? Yeah. So it's really more of a examination of a real average person getting like a massive amount of power. I remember reading an interview with Mark Waid. I believe it was Mark Waid, and he was saying that he refuses to believe that everybody that gets superpowers is emotionally and mentally capable of being a superhero. And when I heard that, it just stuck with me, and that's kind of where I went. So he is the story of a young guy that gets a massive amount of power through this entity called the Illumination, and he gets the ability to control light, heat, and fire, and he finds his calling in life is to be a hero. But there's kind of 2 things that kind of stymie him. One is that you don't make a lot of money being a superhero, trying to be a morally high ground superhero. And 2, the Illumination kind of influences him and makes him more of a hothead. And he tends to not react heroically as he'd like to. And really, the Illumination has kind of dubious intent with him.
It's funny because it sounds like that when you talk about emotional maturity of the characters, it sounds like a young Clark Kent when he was just getting started. It's like, I have all this power, why can't I just beat these bullies? And that's like, not because you can't, it's because what comes afterwards.
Well, yeah, but this one is more like if Clark Kent didn't have like Pa Kent,
Yes,
like
exactly.
This one is more, he's a 20-something who is a college dropout, who can't quite find what he wants to do in this world, but he's the son of two very successful people. His father is a lawyer, his mother is a chef, and they have, very high standards for him. And it's kind of tough when and I'm sure there are people who are out there that have been raised by very successful parents. There's a pressure on you to do something with your life, and he never quite found that until he gets these abilities, and he finds that he's actually pretty good at being a superhero.
So you kind of touched based on the next question I actually wanted to ask. What kind of got you to go down the genre of building this comic and this character? Because you kind of touched about it when you talked about. You can touch back it again, but just help everyone understand what got you to be like, I'm going to put my time and effort into building out this universe. Because sometimes people have a lot of worlds in their heads, but sometimes you can't build all of them at the same time.
Right. It was more, I would say it was trial and error. As I said, I've been doing comics a lot longer than the 10 years I've been doing Visually Stoked. I had a comic book that I put out maybe 15, it's probably going on almost 20 years ago now, that was not great, but I learned from it. And I kind of figured out, after I took a break, went back to school, got my degree. When I came back home, I had actually done Heat as a project at my school at Savannah College of Art and Design. It was a project. The character was different. He was a little kid, with like dishpan gloves on, and it was nothing like this. But I loved the name Heat. I loved the powers. And so I kind of took that and I started developing that in college. And once I once I decided I wanted to make a comic book, Heat was so far developed than any of the other ideas I had. So I ran with that. And
I see what happened there.
Yep.
So touch on a little question before. You said you had a comic book out before. What made you say that one was like a successful? Was it the artwork, the storytelling? What made you feel like you could have did better?
I learned a lot through that process. I didn't like the printing of the book wasn't to the standard it needed to be because when you're an indie comic book creator, at least from my perspective, I'm not gonna say this is
I'm new, so you can tell me everything.
Well, I mean, I would say that you're competing with Marvel, DC, Image. So I personally feel like your book needs to look on the same level. That book didn't. it did not look on the same level. But at the same time, I wasn't the artist that I am now. Like I look at the pages now of the book that I did and I cringe. I'm a better artist than I was. I'm a better writer. And I also I don't think that the topic of the book was more like horror.
Okay.
And I think at the time, horror wasn't as big as it is now. So superheroes are timeless. So I decided to do that. But that book is coming out. It will come out. I reconfigured it over the last 15, 20 years of my life. It's taken different variations.
I actually like that because a lot of times people I didn't give it a good try the first time. Let me give it a better set of eyes now when you get the skill set. And the reason anyone that's watching this or gets the opportunity to watch this, I hope they will take from that the ability to say, even if I didn't get it right the first time, I can go back and do it. And it's okay to like and love certain stuff. Because even with my comic right here, there's certain parts of them I cringe, but other parts it was spot on. I was I loved it. So how many issues? You said you've been running this for a few years now, almost over a decade. So how many issues you have out right now?
Okay, cool. So actually, you can get the graphic novel, which is actually a trade. It has the first 3-issue miniseries and graphic novel. I did a 3-issue miniseries, then I did a graphic novel. This is it collected. You can get this. 150 pages, even some extras in the back.
Got it.
And then I started the new series with Heat, where I'm on. Am I doing this right? There we go. Heat 1 and 2 is out of the new series. This is a new series that continues the storyline from the graphic novel.
Okay.
And Heat number 3 is, I would say, a good 80 to 85% done. I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 5 pages left to draw. I'm hoping that I can have it out by July.
Okay, so you do. So it's safe to assume that you're doing all of it yourself.
Everything, top to bottom.
Oh, that's a lot. I'm not going to say. I know I couldn't pull that off, but the people that can, I have done more props to you guys. Because writing in and of itself is a task, and illustration, then to coloring. I'm assuming you do. These are full color books.
Fully colored, full color.
Yes. So, no shortcuts made here. So I don't understand what went into making that done. See, look at that artwork. It's fabulous. So you have the first series out, which is now a graphic book. You have this episodes out. I'm assuming you do not have a web series for any of these books. There's just graphic books for these.
I don't have a web series, but the books can be, the digital copies of the books are available, so you can order them online. Oh, the first two, these two books, these two. The graphic novel, I'm working on it. I'm working on getting that available. Again, I'm a one man band.
Show, man. Don't worry about
it. Yeah, well, I am looking to expand. That's the goal over the next year and a half. I'm looking to expand my my operation, and hopefully, I can get a lot more stuff going.
Okay. So definitely want to. So you also have you brought up Heat, but you also have Strong. Well, let's touch base on that a little, because
yes.
This shows that you have diversity. You're not just on one comic, but you actually have multiple different stuff out.
Yes. Strong is a child of COVID. I did Strong.
Too, so I can't be like.
Yes. I did Strong. Actually, the story behind Strong is pretty interesting. I was doing Heat for a while, and I, no pun intended, I got burned out. I was tired. I didn't want to do it anymore. I just, I wasn't, I was doing the one character, and I was just like, man, I'm bored. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that, a lot was going on with me. When I was doing Heat around that time, my mother had cancer. So I was taking care of my mother, doing all that and doing the comic book. And I think I was burned out. And then she passed about a year, two years before COVID. And then I had kind of finished the graphic novel for Heat. And the graphic novel was such an arduous task. It was 70 pages long, or 72? 70 pages long. And I was done. I couldn't do anything else. And so Strong was actually an entirely different character, different name, everything. And I was going to introduce her in the new Heat series. I was going to introduce her and then spin her off.
Okay.
But then I started thinking about it, and a couple of things happened. One, I thought, I don't want my first female character to have to be second fiddle to my male character first. I wanted her to stand alone on her own. And then the second thing that happened is I'm married to a beautiful woman who does not like comics. She does not do comics at all. Nope, not at all. And so I kind of thought I was like, I'm going to make a comic that you like. And so during, like, a little bit before and then during COVID, I just knocked out Strong. I did a good chunk of it. I would say I did about 95% of it. But then I watched a documentary about Todd McFarlane, and he was talking about how, for him the way he made Spawn this global icon was he gave all his energy and focus into it. And I was like, man, like, I really did walk away from Heat. So I went back to Heat, did the first issue of Heat, did this first issue of Heat, knocked this out. And once I finished it, I was like, but I got a whole book just sitting there.
Yeah, do.
And so I was like, let me knock that out and finish it. So in the end, I ended up with like, 2 full books. By the time COVID was over, I had 2 full comics. And once the Comic-Con, started rolling out, I was able to do a Kickstarter for Strong, which was successful.
Congratulations.
And I've been moving forward, and now I'm going to look for an artist to take over. I am currently looking for an artist to take over for Strong to do the new series. The script is ready. I'm just looking for somebody right now who can take over for me.
That's gonna be a tough set of shoes to follow. I can see that.
I'm looking for somebody better than me, which is fine. I'm okay with the concept that they're a better artist than me.
No, that's fine.
But, I'm looking for somebody to do something a little different, maybe something a little more manga influenced. Due to the proliferation of the art form, I would like to see somebody with a manga influence to do Strong. That way, it would look different. It would be a substantial difference between what people see in Heat and what people see in Strong.
Okay. That's gonna be a very interesting way of doing it. And that I love. What I really loved there was the fact that you have 2 different stories of how the book did, but you actually got them out, which is the most important, because a lot of people have it in their heads and they haven't even got it down on paper in terms of the script yet. But to even go ahead and say, I'm gonna have it now printed, bind it, so you can now hold it, see it, and be like, listen, at the very least, it exists.
Well, it's I try to relate to people when you have somebody who says, yeah, I'm trying to do my own comic book and everything like that. Because my first book, like my first Heat book, the first one I ever did, it took a ginormous amount of effort to do. There's time and energy and money and just everything that takes a lot to put out a book. You're well aware. It takes a lot to put out a comic book. It's gotten easier as I've gone, but it takes time, money, discipline, everything. So it's not something that it's easily done, as in I can hand something over to somebody and they can just print it. But to get to that point it's tough, man.
It's a process. I would say this: when I first got started, the first thing I did was I reached out to someone that was actually a comic book artist, and he said, and he had a Fiverr at the time, and he presented to me the process of building out the comic from start to getting some cash behind it in terms of Kickstarter. And what that gave me was the opportunity to look and be like, okay, this is step 1, get it written. 2, get it illustrated. And then forward and going down the rabbit hole until you get down to, I finally have something I can show somebody. And so when you're starting out, I would say that's the hardest hurdle. And I appreciate everyone that actually took the bite and went through the process, because once you get through it, it's like, win, lose, or draw, you're gonna look at it and be like, I did that.
I mean, not everybody, and I'm lucky. Well, one of the things I made a conscious effort to do was to learn every part of the book, learn how every part of the process. Like I already could write and I could already draw, but I didn't know how to letter. I didn't know the process for coloring with comics. Printing it. I learned every facet of it, so that I didn't need somebody else. Now there are people out there who can't draw. There are people that can't write, and it's harder for them. It really is harder for them. But I always say, try to learn as much as you can. One of my guys, Danny Quick, he's always trying to get better at being an artist to actually draw his own book, and I admire that. Because he was like, I'm a writer, but I want to learn how to do this, so that eventually I can get to the point where I don't need somebody else to do it. I can write and draw my own book. Like, I'm lucky. If I want to do a horror book or whatever, I can sit down and do it. Not everybody's that lucky.
Yeah, and I would say, at the end of the day, every entrepreneur have to learn how to learn their business so they can fire themselves from their business.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So you need to know each and every process works. You need to know to find good people, but you need to know what the end result you're trying to get to. And I do like meeting and talking to other artists, other comic book creators, and just get to know what went into for them process to get to where they are, and basically say congratulations. If no one else told you, I want to be the one to tell you congratulations, you did
That's
something.
good. Yeah, I spend a lot of time talking to other people. Absolutely. I spend a lot of time talking with different creators and learning how they get their success. Because I just copy what they do.
Yeah, we can't be in an insulated box. So the next step is basically shout outs. Do you have anyone you want to shout out and let them know that thank you for bringing me this far? You might have. Man. I know your wife is going to be in there. I know.
Well, of course, my wife, my lovely wife, JaVon Stokes, my kids, Tiffany and Trinity, Junior, JR. They've been cheerleaders. They've been sounding boards. They've even helped me at cons from time to time. But in the industry, that's so tough. I mean, there's a lot of people who have helped me get this far, who I've learned from.
You've been in here for a decade. I expect that.
Well, I first and foremost, because I don't want them to say that I didn't do it. I'm going to give a shout out to my co-hosts for Top 5 Live, who I do a podcast with every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Danny J. Quick and Morgan Iverson. Through these guys, I've met a lot of people, and we also talk to each other about the business and trying to figure our way through it. Greg Burnham, he's also, one of the people I talk to all the time. Writer Tuskegee Airs. Greg Elise, that's my little brother who we love to terrorize each other, but that man's got my back and I got his back. Keith Williams, I've talked to all the time. Heather Santos. Did I say her last name right? I probably butchered it.
Don't worry, they're still gonna love you.
There's a lot of there's just, once you get in the industry, Lonzo, star, writer, creator, acolyte, Concrete Comics. Definitely, he and I talk and discuss this business all the time. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of people. And
I want to say this
to everybody. Kyron Silva, Roland, Wally McNair. They're my brothers.
Mommy's gonna get mad.
Somebody's gonna get mad at me that I have not said their name, and I am Joe Illidge. Who's great, who's a legendary editor. I learned a lot working with him. Howard Chaykin, always get to talk to him. Oh man, there's so many guys. I'm
gonna save you right now. I'm gonna be
save me. Thank you so much. There's so many people who are gonna be really mad at me. Dennis Cohen. Shout out to Dennis Cohen, creator, static artist extraordinaire. I spoke to him. I talked to Zero off, and he definitely is somebody who I speak to. Jamal Eigel. There's a lot of people. That's
why I'm trying to say to you. I'm telling you, listen, everyone that's out there that's going to watch this film.
Michael Watson.
Shout
out to Michael Watson. Shout out to Michael Watson. I can't forget Michael Watson. I have learned so much from Michael Watson as being a businessman in this industry. Shout out to Michael Watson. And I know there's like 15, 20 of y'all I forgot. Just come yell at me. I'll say thank you. Just come yell at me like you normally do. I'll say thank you. They know. I tell them all the time. I tell these folks all the time. I really do tell people all the time how much I appreciate what they do for me. Rags Morales. I got to give a shout out to Rags Morales. Rags Morales sat me down. He sat me down to help me with my art. Christopher Priest, Jim Shooter. I got the chance to get to know Jim Shooter. And there's so many more, man. I could fill up the rest of this time. Joseph Michael Lisner. Yes, Joseph Michael Lisner. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry if I forgot you.
Right now we're just going to wrap up in terms of talking about where can they find you.
Okay.
In terms of getting to know you, your work, and updates. Where can they
Okay.
find you? I
You
know I
can
put some of
find
it
me.
in the chat, so don't worry about it. But say it again.
All right. No problem. No problem. You can find me at my website is visually stoked, like right there, right there, like visuallystoked.com. You can order the books from there. You can order everything you want that I've done is on that website. You can go to Instagram, Visually Stoked Media. That's where I post, stuff that when I go to Comic Cons, I post art, everything. You can find me, JaVon Stokes, on Facebook. If you befriend me, 9 times out of 10, I'll do it. If you want to hear my rambling and my weird posts. As for finding me, I go to a lot of cons up and down the East Coast.
So you have any plans for this season?
So I'll be at Heroes Con in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'll be at Blurred Con in July. I will be at, this is off the top of my head, so if I miss any, I'm sorry. I'll be doing a panel at Kineticon, how to get into indie comics.
Okay.
I'll be at Terrificon. The goal is to be at Baltimore Comic Con. I'll be at Dragon Con.
I'm in Baltimore, by the way, so we should say hi.
Okay, I'll be at Baltimore Comic Con. And then there's a few others. I'm probably missing a few. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't miss any.
It's fine. We can post it in the description below.
I'm around, y'all. I'm around.
It's funny.
Not hard to find me.
I am going to, in terms of my, somewhat, one of my boys introduced me to someone that's starting this Comic-Con in Alabama. And so that's going to be my first time doing any kind of comic events.
What's the name of it?
Shoot, you going to make me look bad now.
Is it Alabama Comic-Con?
No.
Or is it Atlantic Comic-Con?
Give me a second. I can find it. It's not going to take me, not going to take me long because I was talking to him yesterday about it. I don't want my boy to be, Sean, you forgot? He's like, no, I didn't forget.
I love to do a con in Alabama. I was actually going to do Alabama Comic Con last year.
Press Start Expo. So people in the back, I'll make sure.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'll
check
that out. See if it
it's
fits my
June
schedule.
22nd in Alabama. No, Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham.
June 22nd. Okay, I might have to check that one out. That might be hard for me because I'll be just coming back from Heroes Con.
You on the road. I understand.
Listen, I that's my biggest piece of advice I give to anybody in the indie comics industry. If you're trying to get your book out there and you're trying to make noise, you cannot make noise from home. Now you can be on social media, you can promote your stuff on social media, you can do that, and that's great. But you need to be out there on the road, at cons, at events, anywhere vendors can sell, anywhere comics are being sold, and you need to be putting your book in people's faces. That's the only way you build. That's the truest way to build an audience. That's the absolute truest way to build an audience.
You heard it here, guys. He just told you what you need to do. Yeah, because I need to tell people that there's two parts of a business. There's the product, building the product, and then there's actually selling the product.
Yes.
And those are two different skill sets.
Yep.
So I'm learning. I've gotten good at building the product. I'm learning how to sell the product. It's all about us being out there, getting out there. So anyone, if you're getting started, looking to get started, my man just told you what you need to do. So with that said, I'm Sean. Comic book. I also have my own comic. Apollo's Run just started. My man has a book heat. Follow, subscribe, get to know us, get to learn about it. And if you are a comic book artist as well and you want to get hosted here, just inbox me, let me know that you're interested in being spotlighted as well, and I'll get set you up. As you can see, we all about putting out great work, great content, and I do have to appreciate the time and effort that JaVon took today to kind of meet with me. We went through some stuff, but we got it right.
That's all right.
So everyone else, thank you for your time, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.